Hello again. It's been a minute, huh? Hello, Hypnicity. Hello, Miss Annie Bear. How are you doing? Much better. It's a bit of a scramble behind the scenes. Things are kind of topsy-turvy in my energy world, but a very interesting week for me. I've had some energy upgrades thanks to ye old sun. Uh, I normally avoid getting coatings from the sun directly, but yeah, the old sun and I sat there and did some light cutting together. Some dragon energies coming through. Hello, Miss Utica. How are you doing? Beautiful, beautiful. I know, Hypnicity, that card for Copa Nui's this week. Woo! That was pretty potent. And the one for Utica, that was fun. For Kakaz, that was New Blueprints, Radical Expansion, if you were born June 1st through the 28th. And then, of course, we had the air shifting paradigms coming in from Miss Annie Bear and all of the other kitties that we have. Yeah. Oh, so it looks like I might have lost some people whenever I came over. We did have some new people, though, that were popping in. Hopefully Helga can find us over here. Helga was using Wawa Nui over there, and that is, of course, one of the Lemurian things. Oh my goodness, Annie Bear. Goodness, goodness, goodness. Annie Bear has been hiked it some. Annie Bear, been in bed for 3 or 4 days. I'm over the worst of it, letting go of the struggle, knowing we don't earn it. We are already in it. You are correct. Most of us have been raised with the paradigm that we have to work hard for something. And that's not to say that we're not going to passionately dive into and do a flurry of things. I mean, if we are divinely motivated and we are in our passion, you'll find that you look up and the daylight is gone. And so it's not even a matter of being work shy with this concept. It's a matter of just being in alignment with. And yeah, there are definitely days, like Yuka is saying, I also feel like doing nothing. Please do. Because you're needing to go. It's like we're in a river of energy. And you'll notice with rivers, they'll have different areas that have chutes, cataracts of running water, rapids, where it's just going super fast and the water's churning. And then you'll usually right after that, you'll see these little slower pockets or pools to the side where the water is just spinning, where it is just slowly there and it is allowing itself to regather itself. So, yeah, as Hypnicity is saying, doing nothing is something. Exactly. And that is also speaking to allowing us to come into our feminine energy, where we are more open to receiving. Constantly doing, especially, is more of a masculine orientation. And so that speaks of being able to step into more of our feminine energy as we go forward. Lots of deep healing. Here we go. Oh, beautiful. Shaking off the last of the 3D. You have to constantly reset yourself. Last week I did a pillar of light where we did a bubble. And so it's been a matter of just making sure that you're still in that energy. In fact, I had one, I don't remember if I mentioned it last week or not, but I had a very old memory come back in from like when I was in my very early 20s, and it was unpleasant, and I thought that I had dealt with it. Of course, it's always whenever you're trying to sleep too. And so I just simply ran through my undoing codes, some of my Lemurian technology to clean slate it. Interesting. Huh. Today I cleaned my cupboard, which is great because declutter is beautiful. You do want to make sure that the stuff that's in and around your environment, and that's part of the stuff that I've been doing this last week, is looking at my stuff. And I've got some stuff that I've carried around, books or knickknacks or what have you, for 20 years. And it's like, okay, but is it in alignment with me right now? So some of the stuff is, like you're saying, not needed. If I'm not needed at my parents', they feel I'm a waste of space. Utica, this is a self-worth thing. You cannot control what somebody else thinks. And this is going to be a matter of sticking in your own lane. And you know that you are the best thing since sliced bread. So you just have to keep in your own lane. And the other thing that you can do is to answer right quick with hypnicity, Woa Nui is Lemurian. It is. And so it's a Woa Nui. Wa is the first principle of first love. Wawa is simply speaking to more love. And then Woa Nui is much love to everybody, is what those words are. But as I was saying with Utica, it's going to be a matter of keeping to your own lane. And let's go through right quick, since we're generating quite a few people. We see we've got Jane here. Hello, Paul. We're getting ready to do, hi, Rossi. We're getting ready to do another harmonization right quick. Because energetically speaking, I want to get everybody on the same page. Had the shadow people, Dr. Gail, she had 6 of them, call in the Archangel. I did. I felt the wind go right through me. Beautiful. That's great, Paul. I'm so glad for you. Hurrah. Welcome, welcome. Absolutely. That's wonderful. Okay, great. So let's do the harmonization right quick. I may also do an undoing right afterwards. In fact, I'm hearing to do a full set. So for the people that have asked me what I do in the mornings whenever I get up, this is usually the set that I do. I'll do this full set right through here, and then I'll do some energy balancing as well. But let's get you all started on the same page, energetically speaking. Tihe, ori, ora. Grateful for the breath of life. From the void of the cradle of creation comes first light, ma, first breath, ha, first birth, ka, first love, wa, first stone, ta, first fire, hi, ma, ha, ka, wa, ta, hi. First dimension, it ing wa, in the name of, tito iri, the vibration, to o, the frequency, to wana, the energy, wayuwatapu, I remember. Second dimension, it in, excuse me, it ing wa, in the name of, Tifinui, the land, Tarani, the sky, Tikatau, the water, Wayuwatapu, I remember you. Third dimension, it ing wa, in the name of, Tafaya, the mother, Tamatua, the father, Titama, the child, Wayuwatapu, I remember. Tihe, ori, ora. Multidimensionality, grateful for the breath of life. Okay. And next, what we're going to do is we're going to go into an undoing. And so let's see how many of these we need to do. Okay, I'm hearing 2. I a b u e o o p u ul un I ma el nu e no to f o ul un u a e t I a n u u b o u b a I un ul o ab tana e nu e ma I. Okay, we're gonna pause there. Hakata Toropa, Potahi, Tuma, Kakima, Kakika, Naro, Hawa, Du, Takima, Takika, Tai, Du, Tehu, Upo. There we go. Beautiful. Hypnicity. My dogs are full of crazy energy since yes, I do think it's the full moon hypnicity because that wasn't just a full moon, it was also a Leo full moon, which probably speaks of, let's see if we're going to flip Leo around, it would either be Kaka or potentially going into Fatwa, depending on where the chart is. Paul is so ready. Ready for what, Paul? What are you ready for? Should probably scroll back up a little and see what we're doing now. Hello, Lori Hunsinger. How are you doing, fellow Lemurian? Gorgeous. Sados. Let's see what we got here. Utica. Yeah, as we go forward, you'll be able to figure this out. Speaking to Utica, that is, you'll find your path. Oh, interesting. So Paul is packing up and moving to South Carolina soon to be close to his sister. Oh, that's great. You'll have new stomping grounds. You've done a lot in Pennsylvania, that's for sure. When do you have to leave, Paul? And happy birthday, Paul. A BC video. Oh, okay. So Lori is thanking Annie Bear for posting a BC video. Is BC a person or must be? Yeah, I got to go back and watch her. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, some of the stuff that I came across in my Lemurian tracking through, BC's a grandmother. Interesting. That's cool. On your community page. Beautiful. So we can look for that. She dips. Oh, okay, so she is the one that I'm thinking of. Lori Hunsinger saying that this is, she's on Terry's show, BC is. Oh, okay, so Paul's busy packing and the sister is looking for a home for you. Wow, that's exciting. There is a lot of people that are on the move, and there's a lot, like I said, behind the scenes with us that same thing. I'm resisting any kind of a move, but it's potential that I might be doing some moving myself this year. There was a move that should have happened in 2023, and that was a different timeline slip. And so stayed here for a while longer. So just see what happens. I do not want, no, let me reframe that. I want to stay in my home on the coast. Yeah, Utica's ready to roll with like-minded people. Utica, are you going to stay in the country or are you going to go travel to like New Zealand or Australia? Oh my goodness. Sure. Annie Bear, no worries. Just thought that was worth a shot to ask. Did some? What were you asking? I must have missed it. Utica, whenever you go there in New Zealand, that's one that the languaging, because Hypnicity had asked a little bit earlier that what does the Wawa Nui, what does that come from? That is the part of the Maori language from the New Zealanders. Wow, that'll be cool. Next door neighbors. That's nice. Cool. Let me see. Well, okay. Hypnicity saying if you're inclined to a prayer, if everybody could please send along energy for her niece facing chemo's double mastectomy. She has 2 young sons. And, of course, it's terrifying. Sorry, I'm just feeling into the energy field for her. She does have a lot of black energy around her. Hang on a second, gang. I'm going to see if we can just send some energy. I'm going to send some energy out. And so if you're sensitive to energy, you might actually feel me working on the energy field. She's got a lot of congestion and the energy is just not flowing very well for her, mostly in her trunk. So I'm going to be working on the whole main trunk of the body, pretty much from the neck to the groin. See if we can just get some of the energy flowing along those meridians right quick. That's interesting. The blockage is more towards her legs instead of the higher up, which is where I was expecting it to be. But if the energy's not flowing correctly, it causes stagnation, and stagnation leads to a lack of blood flow, and that can lead to other trouble. Mm. And we'll send out some nice pink soothing energy for her as well. There you go. Ground into Mother Earth. There we go. Well, that's interesting. So Utica does live in Mumbai in India, East India. And Australia is good. I visited it for a month, but it is crowded, just like India, but not as much. Beautiful to be there. So no language issue. Australia is interesting. It's a really large continent, but there is so much of the landmass that isn't inhabited. I mean, it's just enormous. You're on a new Avenge, huh? That's cool. Oh, that's great. Okay. Let me see. Asking feedback, but she didn't try it. Oh, no worries. Okay. On a new Avenger now, huh? Yep, you're definitely on your adventures. Oh, beautiful. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yeah, a lot of it is just playing it. You can put it on in the background on a loop, and you can put that down really low on the volume because it doesn't have to be loud. The energy on that is quantum energy. It's quantum mechanics. So you don't have to have it blasting really loud. But I do like playing it on a loop, especially for something that's a bit more chronic. And in the case of Rosie, it felt like, by chronic, I mean something that's a longer standing injury. Like with Rosie, it felt a lot like what was happening with my own ankle. I had damaged my ankle whenever I was a kid a lot. I twisted my ankle so many times, I actually lost track of how many times. Thousands of times would be my guess that I sprained and twisted it. And so when we had this cold wave come through the Pacific Northwest, my ankle was aching pretty good. And it's very similar to what it felt like for Rosie as well. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did see an orb. Yeah. And I also saw, oh, golly, let me think what night that was. I think that was Thursday night. Might have been Wednesday night. But overnight, I usually check out my windows overnight, and I have been seeing a lot of auroras and also beautiful. Oh, that's great. So with Miss Rosie, yes, because it did track up into her hip. So the shot helped. Great. So she's back in business. That's great. But to get back to the UFO thing, the orb. Well, I've seen two different orbs. One definitely was in my bedroom, but the other one, it's one of those fun things where when we first moved here, there were three consistent UFOs, twinkling rainbow lights that I saw in the sky. And I mean, they look like regular stars, except they go through a whole bunch of different colors. They aren't just like sparkly white. And so with it, a lot of times I'll wave to it or I'll ask, it's like, hey, are you hearing me? And it'll start bobbing up and down or swaying around, something along the lines of like a balloon. It looks like a balloon. And so I know that they're interacting with me. And I had always been curious. Oh, beautiful. So you did see an orb as well. That's beautiful. Those are 10th dimensional beings. And those are the ones that have been coming into my room since 2021 quite regularly. And they've been upgrading my energy system. So they're probably going to start working on yours as well. But to get back to the UFO, the clouds had come in. And so I didn't expect to see, but I had looked anyways. I could still see the aurora. But it was my UFO friend, and I could see it quite clearly. So it looks like an enormous star, except for the fact that there was nothing but clouds. So it's just nice to see. Chicken eggs are going up soon, so we have to raise chicken. Oh, you're going to raise chickens. Chickens are fun. I had what was called Buff Orpingtons, and they take longer. Let me see if I can spell out the name. Orpingtons. They do take a little bit longer to raise before they start laying, but they have super, super, super sweet personalities. And they usually started laying, I think my girls started laying whenever they were around 8 months old. And even though they are a much slower growing chicken, they are dual purpose. You can, of course, use them for the boys for meat, usually, but they're very sweet. And if I remember right, they laid a brown egg and they laid for years for me. Very productive. I love the fact that they're personable. Each one of my girls had very distinctive personalities. And what was strange to me, because whenever I started off with them, I had, you cannot order. I ordered from a place called Cackle Hatchery that's in Lebanon, Missouri, and they just have amazing stock. I really loved the sweetness of their birds, and they came already pre-vaccinated and everything, and I really liked that their health. And but since they get shipped, or in my case, I was picking them up directly from the hatchery at the time, you had to have at least 15 babies to start with. Yeah, and so with that, I did raise them. I put 5 in each plastic tub so that they could each have their own space and everything. And then I ended up having to gift 11 of my birds to a friend because I just didn't have the space for all of them. But I picked out 4 of my favorites. And yeah, if you have a soft spot for all raptors, I adore the raptors as well. But you're going to want to make sure that your hens, because chicken's on the menu for absolutely everything. And what I did with my girls, I actually raised them inside. They were raised in an inside room of my garage just to keep them safe until they were a little bit older. And then what I did was I tucked a dog kennel underneath a carport and transferred them out there, which was kind of humorous because they thought being outside was fun, but they wanted back in their room. But yeah, I love the Buff Orpingtons. They had a really sweet temperament. My 4 girls were quite interesting. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Like I said, mine were raised indoors. I love the fact that they're super sweet. And I did have to rehome the rooster with my friend whenever I rehomed all the girls, because whenever you get the option to have what they call pullets, and what pullets are girls. And so I'll just type in the term for you. So pullets are supposed to be girls. Usually they did a pretty good job of sexing the boys from the girls, but you're going to have strays. And that was the case of, I named him Ginger, but yeah, Ginger was my boy that came through. And I got to be honest, he probably would have made a really super sweet rooster. He was an amazing pet. I absolutely hated having to gift him to my friend, but it is what it is. Oh, and you don't have to, if you are just wanting to have the eggs, you do not have to have a rooster. The hens are going to lay the eggs all on their own, which was what I ended up doing. Because, I mean, I just needed the girls for eggs at the time. Oh, tea garden chicken. You betcha. Spending time just watching them. Great stress reliever. Yeah, any leftover veggies, they love that. And of course, they'll go for any kind of a bug. Land's going to be a problem. Oh, that's fine, honey. Yeah, and there's a big difference in the dogs where you're around the world. Some of the dogs in some regions of the world are not, they're not all created equally, as they say. And so some of the dogs in some areas, they're definitely worth watching out for. Yep. Yeah. She said it'll keep me busy. They do, actually. The chickens, they're wonderful. like tea garden chickens saying, they're a really good stress reliever. They're very good conversationalists. I never really would have expected it from a chicken, but yeah, they tend to be pretty personable. Oh, but what I did for the top, because whenever I did the dog pen, usually you can buy four-sided dog pens from like Costco or any of the feed stores. And so what I did was I got a dog pen because I figured with that, it would be, uh, if it keeps a dog in, it would theoretically keep a dog out. And usually it's dogs that you have to worry about going for the chickens. But there is a shade, like a sunshade, that you can get for the top. So you've got the ventilation and everything, and I just use zip ties to put it up onto the top of the pen just to keep them safer. Yeah, seeing chickens catch a mouse reminds you of their dinosaur origin. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They will go for mice. They will go for rodents for sure. And yep, they look like velociraptors whenever they're going for something like that. But yeah, they're a lot of fun. Yeah, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun whenever you get there. Oh, you you have no idea. Actually, I got in trouble with my own folks over this because when I had them, I was actually living in the Midwest, and so whenever I raised them in the room that was in the garage, and I'm really glad that I did because we had a resident king snake. She was ginormous, and she was headed for my chickies. So I'm really glad that they were in there. But since they were in an enclosed space, there was one window to it, which was used for ventilation. But we put in one of those there an air conditioner that goes in a window, and so they had heat lamps for the winter time, and then they had the air conditioning. When I finally told my parents what I had done, because it's like, oh yeah, no, the girls are okay because they've got air conditioning. You could have heard a pin drop. Needless to say, I think all of my ancestors just kind of rolled over, but my chickens were happy. They laid really well when everybody else isn't quitting the high heat. Oh Lord. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Does it snow where I live? It's sometimes we get snow, but usually we don't have snow here on the Oregon coast. We will get snow, but a lot of times it's because we've had a wind pattern that will bring down a swirl from Alaska, the Gulf of Alaska. Making snow and only been snowing in movies. If you get over to Australia, I think they're simply called the Snowy Mountain Range, but they've definitely got snow up there. I must have been a cutie pie in terror. I was a very busy child. Yeah, New Zealand. Yeah, tea garden chicken. She's saying New Zealand is the same way. You can find snow there too. Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, feel for my folks. It wasn't just me, it was also my brother. But I'll be. Yeah, that's healthy though, right, Paul? You guys, you have snow right now. Is it another 2 to 3 inches in Pennsylvania? And where Pennsylvania is located is on the opposite side of the lake. So you guys usually have some version of what's it called? Lake effect snow. Buffalo gets way worse, but New Zealand, I do want to visit. So we'll see if the universe will take me there. Absolutely. Okay. One of the things that I did want to mention as I said, to get back to my Lemurian coding and stuff, I did come across some the for the word of mother. So the essence of mother, their phrase is "they shall remain innocent," and then the word of the father is "so let there be light," and then the word of the child is "yes, I can." And so currently, right now, we have the feminine that is usually reaching for, trying to find that masculine support. And so it's actually the feminine looking for that pillar of rising light to support them, which is cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. The snow is great for skiing, for sure, sure. And the other thing that I wanted to speak to introduce just a little bit for the Lemurian information as well, is the thumbnail that I used this week was very specific. And what you see on the thumbnail is Ekbar, which is a support animal. You get 2 support animals for each month. And so Ekbar is one of the supporting animals for the month of Kireni, which is, of course, the month that we are currently in. And so you can sometimes see this reflected out even in just stuff that you're doing. You can see, oh yeah, I saw a lot of those at that point. So Ekbar is the jaguar. Sometimes you'll see it as a black panther, but it is the jaguar. Um, and so that was just one little tidbit that I wanted to bring forward for the Lemuria stuff as well. Soup to your ears. Do you want me to repeat that for you? Is there another portal or another coming month? Actually, Utica, right now, what you need to be aware of is um, any of um, any visions that are coming in right now. The veil is thinner, as they say right now. This is the month where access to the sacred spaces and places is happening, and so we get more messages from the other side. So that can be ghosts of people that have passed over. That can also be visions, kind of like what happened with Paul and Archangel Michael coming in to give assistance and to lift up. So you can be having answers to different questions that you have. And some of the animals that are coming in right now also will be signs, visions. You can see things in the sky, in the clouds. Sometimes you can have visions or even messages from the trees. Never saw a UFO. You never saw a UFO? Aw, thank you, Annie Bear. I love the sound of your voice too. I really love your bells. The little bells that you use. I think that's wonderful. Never saw a UFO. Paul, my husband, had the same complaint because my first UFO experience that I had was pretty close. It was closer than I wanted to be whenever I was 13. And boy, you talk about keeping your mouth shut back then. And so, yeah, my hubby was kind of complaining over it. And so I had an amazing gift. He had gifted me a telescope, which is kind of a laugh because normally on the Oregon coast, we don't have clear skies. But that year we actually had a clear sky. And so what we did was we went up. It was a mountain that was called Cape Perpetua. And it's further to the south. So it's kind of central southern Oregon coast. And it's an extremely high elevation. And so we went out there, set up the telescope on a logging road, and that was back in the 90s, so that we could watch this full moon eclipse. And the opening scene in the very first Star Wars movie where they're having the vicious gun battle? I gotta admit, it looked like that, only 1,000 times worse. I mean, it was just off the charts, crazy. And you could tell through the telescope. I mean, we watched it forever. It wasn't just a short few minutes on a TV screen. I mean, they were going at it, and there were laser beams going from one ship to another, and it was just intense. And so hubby was quite content with his first UFO spotting. But a lot of times it's just a matter of going out and looking up at the stars. I think nowadays there's a lot of different applications that you can get for your phone. I've seen it where people have stopped like on our ocean lookouts, and so that you can get this app on your phone where you can point your phone at a piece of the sky, and it identifies what you're seeing, which probably is really helpful because like when I first started, I navigated with the stars. I knew where north was because I could see the stars. And so I did a lot of hiking, and that was exactly how I did it. But nowadays we have an awful lot of extra stuff in the sky. I mean, there was the advent of the satellites, but now that we have Starlink, Starlink patterns are usually pretty easy to spot because they look 2 by 2. So meaning that you'll have 2 stars right alongside of each other. So it's a pattern. Once you see it, it kind of is easy to identify. But all I'm suggesting is if you were to get an app like that on your phone, it would be helpful to you because whenever you're looking suddenly, especially if you're looking at something like the moon, there's a lot of crazy things that happen in and around the moon. I don't know about your moon, but where we are, we've had moons that have risen and like it will rise one day way to the south and set way to the south. And then the next day it will rise way to the north and set way to the north. And we're not talking just a little bit. We're talking like it will either set to the south of one of our mountains, which is Tillamook Head, or to the north of Tillamook Head. And it's like one day apart. And I've had people that are like, oh, maybe it's that secondary moon. No, because it wouldn't have the exact same markings on it. It's bizarre. But I'm only mentioning the moon because you can start off with the moon and I accidentally took a video of UFOs flying in and around the moon because it wasn't intended. I was looking at the moon and I was just videoing it with a regular iPhone. And then whenever I looked back later, because it had a really pretty, sometimes in the wintertime, you can have clouds that go around the moon. And then you get this amazing, it's an ice ring that forms around it. It's really pretty. It's a lot of times it'll look like rainbow circle around it. So I had actually photographed that. And then whenever I expanded it on my phone, then I could see a ridiculous amount of UFOs coming and going around the moon. And it's like, okay, that's too much information. I don't want to know what these people are doing. I have a very busy life down here. Yeah, see, the moon is doing that at my house. It's nice to know. Yeah. Actually, it's the same sort of a thing too, where she's saying that the energy pole is shifting. And so now we're undergoing and the moon's confused on where to rise and set. It could be that, but it can also be that that things just really are not what we think they are. And it has yet to be revealed. Okay, Paul. Well, thank you for stopping by. You have a great day. But, it's interesting, Hypnicity, that you're mentioning Atlantis. This morning I had, and this is what I was also talking about with Tyranny, bringing in these different voices and these different messages. Tahuti is not something that I normally pay attention to. That word popped into my head this morning, and it was a name, and it was from Thoth, is another word for him, but it's connected to Atlantis, and it's conceivable. I do know that there was an earthquake that happened in the Caribbean. Excuse me. That could also be from it. Same thing with Annie Bear. Yeah, I know the moon isn't real, but like I said too, oh golly, I can't remember how long ago it was, but there were 2 of the Big Dippers in the sky, in my sky, and the one was in a location that was not where it should have been. So to walk out the barn, and it's like, well, there's one of the Big Dippers, and then walking around to the side of the house where it's like, okay, well, that's where the Big Dipper's supposed to be, and then literally seeing two of the Big Dippers. You cannot mistake the Big Dipper. This is what they teach kids to navigate with here in the Northern Hemisphere, because it's easy to navigate with. It's always going to be there, and it's very distinctive. But yeah, they have two of them like that. It's ridiculous. So yeah, Atlantis did have the crystals. Lemuria had crystals as well, and that was part of the big fight that happened between Atlantis and Lemuria the last time that Lemuria and Atlantis went at it. And there is a lot of movement in the IGNC, and there is some changes that are happening right now as well to the interior of the world. But like I said too, with the dome, with the stars and everything, at one point, I think that was 2020, as crazy as everything was happening in the sky, I kind of wondered if we had moved the entire solar system to like some different part of, I don't know, the galaxy or something. Some days the dome theory is not so dumb. We're underneath the dome and we only see what shines through the upper half of our snow globe, Yeah, Lemuria 4 came to an end, and at the end of that, you had Atlantis fighting with Lemuria. And Atlantans were more in their heads, Lemurians were more in their hearts. And so we kind of need to be in Tatama, which is the high heart, which is in the center of both. You really want a balance of one in each world, 1 foot in each world, as they say. So you want your heart energy balanced with your head energy, because what we're aiming for is the high heart, which is in between the two. I was told the heat and vibrating can burn it off in my sleep. Symptoms. Yeah, there are a lot of symptoms, and they just simply call it Ascension symptoms. Sleep is really challenging whenever the Ascension symptoms are coming in, because you can be sitting at your desk and you're supposed to be busy and productive, and all of a sudden you feel like you're walking through a morass where the energy is just slow and pushing on you, and you go to lay down. But when you lay down to go to sleep, all of a sudden you get these energy rushes, but you can't do anything with the energy rushes, because as soon as you get up, of course, then you feel tired again. It's crazy. And all I can say with that is allow as much as you can. Try to take naps. And in fact, if you have fallen asleep and you're catching this on a replay, don't beat yourself up, because just seeing me or seeing my Hunakamaroha or hearing some of the light codes, it's going to be automatically reaching your frequency and your DNA, and you will be encountering activations. And so a lot of times what will happen is your conscious mind can't absorb all of the information, and so it will knock you out. It will put you to sleep so that you can absorb, and it will help your body to do this as gradually as it possibly can. But any way you cut it, you're going to have things. Well, at least I'll speak to my own Ascension symptoms. You will sometimes have aches and pains in different parts of your body, and a lot of that is just allowing it to move through. If you close your eyes and you slightly look up behind your eyes, you can imagine the light coming from above and just going, going all the way through your body and bathing all the way down through all of your limbs into Mother Earth, and then allow another light to come back up from Mother Earth all the way up through your feet, your ankles, your calves, knees, up through your hips, tummy, and into the center of your chest. And we're just basically going to go ahead and do a bubble technique, since we're kind of morphed into the bubble technique. So just allow the two lights then to meet in your heart space, forming a bubble, and then open that bubble up so that it is 3 feet or 10 feet. It can even be 15 feet or more around you, but usually you'll feel it snick into place. And then you can feel a beam of light going from Mother Earth, turn it into a powerful column of light, like a fizzy diamond white energy that's going from Mother Earth all the way through you, through your bubble, and then up and out through the universe, arcing through the sky, and it's aiming out through to the central sun that's located in the Alkean belt. And that will help to ground you so that you feel more stable and connected between, because Mother Earth herself is now in an ascension of her own. And she's actually already ascended. Some of the turmoil that we feel is because our bodies were birthed into a carbon-based system. We are moving more into a crystalline-based system. And so we're trying to ease into that as much as we can. But she's already done her alignments. A lot of it is just removing the distortions. We have a lot of distortions in the energy that have been put in place over thousands of years. And so that's the stuff that needs to be cleaned and cleared. There's no problem with us. I mean, we've been told that we're blocked. Are you sure we can do this? Absolutely. Absolutely. I am. And I'm feeling a lot more certain of it. I think it was last week, it might have been the week before. But one of the things that I was sharing is that our actual DNA is capable of miraculous activations. It's already contained in our bodies. The only thing that we have to do is to make sure that we stay in alignment as much as we can. It's exactly, your hubby is correct, to just be. Because, like I said, the DNA, they did some studies around when Chernobyl went in the 80s. It was a nuclear facility that exploded in the 1980s. They had to abandon it. When they abandoned it, they left behind a bunch of animals. And of course, you have the wildlife that came in. They have done studies now. It's been well over, like 40 years now, 30 or 40 years. And so when they were going back in, they were finding frogs that should have been green tree frogs, but they were black. They were finding different animals. And what happened is, in the exposure of the high radiation, their DNA flipped on to protect their bodies from the massive amounts of radiation that they were now existing with. That's not the only place that's done it. There is another spot, I want to say it was in the South Pacific, but it was again, it was one of the testing grounds whenever they didn't know what they had, but they had the atomic weapons at the time. They had the nuclear weapons. And so they were blowing them up, and then they were testing to see what happened. And they were finding the same thing. They were finding animals that were existing. Fish were coming in, and they were existing in these high radiation areas. Whenever their scientists are like, they shouldn't be existing at all. And so Earth and the world and humanity and our own DNA, our life systems, we are evolving, and our DNA, like she's saying, it is already contained in our bodies. And that was the message that I was trying to tell people. Sometimes we're panicked because it's like, I can't buy the next Wizzo button, or I can't figure out the next technique. I'm going to be left behind, or I'm going to be abandoned. Your body already has amazing technology built into it. That's most of why I've been trying to get on here at least once a week to do some of the sharing with the stuff and the upgrades and the energy upgrades that I've been doing, because it allows people to have their own energy systems caught up with it, and the activations will naturally happen. And yeah, exactly. Like Hypnicity's saying, this is where it's important to stick to your own lane. Don't slow yourself down, because it's like this. Not everyone is going to do it at the same rate of speed. Some of us are going to take extra trips on the merry-go-round because we need that extra time in order to integrate at the rate of speed that we need to do it for ourselves. And you're going to find your own speed. Some people are super fast learners. Other people can pick up a hockey stick or dribble a basketball, and they're amazing with their bodies. They can see something, and they go dancing with a full complete dance routine. I got 10 left feet. It's going to take me way longer. And so by the same token, we need to not compete with other people. Stick to your own lane. You're going at exactly the pace that you need to. Don't look at anybody else. You're doing great. Okay? So just keep at it. Lean into the ones. Anything that makes you laugh or helps to bring your energy system up or helps to calm or soothe you. I don't mean drink 10 adult beverages or something, but what I mean is something that will help your energy system to calm down and unload. Like this, I overstimulated my brain. You can do frequency music that is for the vagus nerve. I think there was one that I shared. I believe it was called Sound Alchemist, but it's very distinctive. It's like 8D, and it has these amazing holographic looking floating jellyfish. And I've been playing that at night, and I'll definitely share that one on my community page, because I underestimated, even whenever I think that I am relaxed. I've been playing that at night. I think it's the Sound Alchemist. I'll definitely share the exact one that I'm talking about, because you can play it in the background whenever you are sleeping. And when I got up, I didn't realize, but I had actually been braced when I'm laying in bed. I'm laying in bed. The bed should be supporting me, but whenever I was playing that at night, I was getting up in the morning and realizing there's these little teeny tiny muscles that are engaged in and around the bones, especially in the legs and in the spine, that were just jelly. They had gone literally jellyfish to go along with the screen. So it's interesting but we need to keep trying to ensure that we're not overstimulating ourselves. We need to make sure that we're not comparing ourselves to other people's paths, because their path had already been created by them on the other side. The universe doesn't want you to do the same race. And so don't do the other thing that's also called running down the ladder. We'll do this naturally, where we're doing all of this exploration, we're doing all of this expansion, we're doing all of these activations, and our energy system's amazing. We're really, really going for it spiritually, and we're advancing, and suddenly we're afraid that we're leaving our friends and family behind. And so we'll try to stuff ourselves back down and make ourselves smaller or slow down. And you can slow down. If you feel like your life is going way too fast, or you're getting disoriented, you can ask your guides or just the universe and say, hey, slow this down, please. This is just too much. But that will allow your group to go with you. So many of us try to slow ourselves down because we're concerned that we have people in our lives that we're going to leave behind. You won't leave them behind. Now, if they need to, like I said, they will do more turns on the merry-go-round. Let them. If they need to take more time with the 3D creations, or if they need to take more time with duality, let them. Okay? Okay. Now this is interesting. So Gray is saying, a woman from the Ukraine, which is where Chernobyl was, I worked with, she told me that when they came in to test afterwards, they found that the young and otherwise the healthy were the most sickly and affected, while the sick and infirm and elderly cancer patients were more or less preserved as is. Sounds like it was one of those cases where it's an immunodeficiency, where the immune system is so hyperstimulated that it attacks. And I want to say, let me think, there was a disease that happened in the 1919. That could have been the Spanish flu, but I could be incorrect with that. But there was one of the pandemics that swept through the United States at that time, and it would have been in the teens, 19 teens. And that is exactly what happened. Those people that were healthy It was their own immune systems that launched the attack on their own system. And then those that were sickly or elderly or had more trouble, and usually you'll find that with the younger people as well, they were not as affected from that. In fact, they were the only ones to survive. Yep. Yep. It's exactly it. And that is also, people have been asking, it's like, how can I help with Mother Earth? Planet Matea is doing great. And it's not, how can I help Mother Earth? It is, how can Mother Earth help you? And so whenever we do the bubble technique and we have the color come from above and then goes all the way through our bodies and into Mother Earth, and then we have the energy come back up from her, that is putting you into alignment with that true source energy. So we have, oh, I am so sorry. Yeah. Gone through a grieving process for the family and the loved ones that like what is happening on the 3D. Yeah, you just have to let it go. And, there's just a lot of people that they decided, it's been fascinating to me to watch, because some of our older family members and even some of the younger family members, they were born in the age of Capricorn. They were born in the carbon-based systems. And so they had actually only planned to see the dawning of, or the first steps of, the age of Aquarius. But they have no desire to remain in that energy system, because that's not an energy system that's going to work for them. And so they will step over to the other side. They will go ahead and pass over. And yet we have other people that were birthed into the carbon-based systems, and they are fascinated with the changes that are coming in and the potentials. In the age of Capricorn, it was one man at the top of the totem pole. And then you had everybody else underneath it. Going into the age of Aquarius, we are stepping into our own sovereignty. Now, that means, of course, as you step into your own sovereignty, you're going to have to start taking self-responsibility. What food works good for my body? Am I a person that does better if I do swimming? Am I a person that does better if I do a little bit of walking? How do I feel if I've got my animal friends supporting me going forward? You're going to have to start finding what works for you, and what used to work for you under the Capricorn system, the carbon-based system, may not resonate now that you are in more of a transition towards the crystalline-based system, the Aquarian type system. So you may find that your bag of Doritos no longer supports you. You might have been able to just live on, I don't know, chips and soda. So, it's just a matter of going, as you go forward, you're going to be finding what works for you. And like I said, some of these people are amazing because they're engaged with learning as we go forward. Yeah. And that's just it. I'm finding this, like Gray's saying, when it comes to the solutions and the medicines that we're going to need, I'm finding that there is a lot that's already here. We just need to do. I actually already undid one, but if you need, I can certainly do it again. Oh, the Gray, they were finding that the animal's DNA had actually altered itself. It had altered their bodies. The DNA itself had the capacity to change and adapt the body in order to sustain life in higher radiation areas. And what's fascinating is there have been different periods of life where we have had a lot more exposure from radiation, just regular radiation. Yeah, it's like this, Utica, she's doing a lot more with the checking on the foods. Yeah, absolutely. And as we go more and more forward, it'll be a matter of just sorting and sifting and finding what's working for you. Wawa, Annie Bear. But yeah, if you would like, we can certainly dial through another one of the undoings right quick. Just some Lemurian light codes again. But yeah, I'd done them earlier. I started to do Shiatsu, but then the dolphins are like, no, just one today. So, but we can do it again. There we go. Ta-da. Alrighty, gang. Well, I think that's everything that I have for this week. And so by now, everybody is probably drifting off to sleep. You are so welcome. And I don't have anything scheduled further for this week, but I'm if I do, I will potentially hop on later in the week. But I do want to wish you a beautiful week and enjoy the replay. And I am so happy for everybody that came and hung out with me today. And I really appreciate all of you coming in and playing and wanting to be in this higher frequency, and especially with the Lemuria 5. Absolutely. It's been really great to hang out with you. So have a great week. Take care of yourselves. Stay in your bubbles. Stay in your pillars of light. Stay grounded. And take good care of yourselves. Bye. See you next week.